So I've been to a couple yarn shops and oops, got a couple things. I'm just so excited for sweaters. I'm so ignorant on this. Hello and welcome to Golden Hour Knitwear. My name is Kerry and this is episode number 5. We have a lot to talk about today. It's been 4 weeks since the last podcast episode where I updated you on all of my knitting and stuff like that. But it's been 2 weeks since my last episode. We just didn't update on knitting 2 weeks ago. So in the last 4 weeks, we've also had sock week. We've had, currently near me is the Heartland yarn adventure, which is basically a big, massive yarn crawl going on. So I've been to a couple yarn shops and oops, got a couple things. So we've got quite a bit of acquisitions. I started a new fiber hobby. I have casted on way too many things. Got some new sample knits or test knits going. I just found out about a sample knit. Just all the things going on right now. So lots to update you guys on. But I probably won't show you everything. I just found out that I get to sample knit a sweater for a hand-dyed yarn company. I'm super excited about it, but I only have 3 weeks to knit it. So everything that you're going to see today will probably have like no progress on it in 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from now might be a pretty boring episode. But I'm going to leave some of my cast-ons, some of my newest cast-ons that you haven't even seen yet. I probably won't show you those this week because then I can save them for 2 weeks from now. They're not going to have any progress on them really anyways. Likely. They probably won't. So I won't show you everything today, but I'll show you still a lot. So it's still going to be a fun episode. Yeah. It might be kind of a rambly episode, but let's start with sock week. So Knitty Natty here on YouTube from the Love and Stitches podcast ran sock week, which is a week long where you just knit socks all week and you enter for prizes and stuff like that. I wanted to see how many socks I could knit within that week, but we had our kitchen renovation going on. So I still got quite a bit of socks done in the last 4 weeks, but I've been busy with traveling and with kitchen renovations and all the good things. So I still have like 3 socks to show you and I have like 4 on the needles, but hopefully next year I can take sock week a little bit more seriously. Anyway, so the first socks that I finished and I want to show you, and one of these obviously wasn't for sock week because it's a child size sock. It's not a adult size sock, and that was the requirements for sock week. But this was a test knit for Kim over at Oakwood Knits. She released the sock pattern a week or 2 ago. It's out right now. I meant to put this video out a week ago, but my goodness. We got home from traveling, from flying, a red-eye flight, just had no energy, and then kitchen renovation stuff, it just, no. Anyway, so these socks by Oakwood Knits, you should go check out all of her socks. They're pieces of art. They're amazing. But these ones are called the Wonderful Things socks. They're super cute. So I knit one for me and one for my daughter. I need to knit the other pairs. I've had lots of, I guess, second sock syndrome, but on purpose for the last 4 weeks. Anyway, so they're super cute. They're based off of the book called Wonderful Things. I'm pretty sure I've read that book with my daughter once. I don't remember for sure. I need to go find it at the library and read it with her. Especially once these socks are done, we can sit down and wear our socks and read the book. But anyway, the pattern is a whole bunch of little balloons going all the way around the sock. And there's a heart balloon included on, and the pattern teaches you how to do, like, here's the sock. You can either do for the right leg. Yeah, the right leg, the heart balloon is on this side. On the left leg, it's on the opposite side, so you can see them on the outside of your legs, if that makes sense. Anyway, most of the samples that were knit by the test knitters and by Oakwood Knits, all the balloons are different colors, so that's super fun. I just chose to do 2 colors so that I could swap. So mine has yellow balloons and pink cuffs and toes and heels, while my daughter's is opposite. I thought that was kind of fun because I love yellow and I don't know what her favorite color is yet, but I guess we're gonna do stereotypical stuff and do pink. So that's that. But this was super fun knit. It has a little bit of color work going on. You can either do stranded color work or intarsia. The pattern has instructions for both. And it went really well. Oakwood Knits is like the queen of of color work socks. It's amazing, the socks that she's come up with. So she has so many tricks and tips to help you do color work super easily. It helps so much, and color work is forever changed for me because of what she taught me. So and then it went so fast. I didn't realize how fast stockinette socks go, because after I got through the color work, which still went pretty fast, I knit this thing in 2 days. Just 2 days. It was so fast. It was amazing. I haven't had a chance to weave in all my ends because I finished right before we went on our trip to Utah, which we had to fly. And I didn't bring any needles to weave ends in because I didn't want to get them thrown out on the plane. So, and then my brain space has been gone since we got back. So I still need to weave in ends and everything, but I think they're super cute. There's sizes, I believe, what is it? Toddler through extra large or extra, extra large. There's a lot of sock sizes, or size, it's a large size range, and it's super cute. The other thing I wanted to say is that there is a sock set available for purchase that goes along with this pattern. So Amanda over at Birch and Lily, she has a podcast here on YouTube, but she also hand dyes yarn. So you can find, I'll put the information on the screen. I don't have it on my head right now. But there's 2 different sock sets available. They're super cute. I'll put them both up with their names and everything. She's based in Canada, I'm pretty sure. So shipping is easier if you're in US and Canada. But the sock sets are beautiful. They're so beautiful. And the socks that were knit up in the sock sets, they're so stinking cute with all the different balloon colors. I think it's one main skein with a couple different colors of the mini skeins. So it's super fun. I would totally recommend those. And I'm pretty sure I've heard Amanda and the dyer and a lot of other people say that her sock yarn is just so soft. So give it a shot, I think, if you're interested in knitting these, which you totally should if you have a little kiddo and you want to match. Or a kiddo in your life, then take a look at the sock sets because they're super cute. Okay, the next sock that I worked on during sock week was this weekend shorty sock by Summerlee Knits. That's what it is. Summerlee Design Co. That's so the weekend shorty sock by Summerlee Design Co. These ones are super fun. I need to knit the second one and then weave in my ends and everything. This one has not been blocked yet. But this one was really fun. There's not much to say about it. This is a free pattern, by the way. It's just a bunch of fun different colors, white body, and it's just so fun. We have different colors for the toes. There's 2 colors for each section, for the ribbing, the heel, and the toe. So the next sock that I do, I'll switch the colors up, just like she has in her sample photos. I won't do blue and yellow at the top. I'll do something else, and then I'll do something else here and something else. So I'm excited to finish these and be able to wear them. I think they're so fun. They're the perfect sock for summer. And I didn't use wool, so it's perfect. I used this acrylic yarn that I've had in my stash forever that I purchased before I knew anything about fiber and fiber content. So this is just a cheap acrylic yarn, but I have a pair of socks in this yarn and it's really soft and it feels really great for the summer. So I'm happy with it. A good way to get some acrylic out of your stash is to be honest with yourself about how much you actually like it. Don't just be like, oh, it's acrylic, pfft, I'm not gonna use it, right? Actually ask yourself if you like it or not and then go from there. But I really like this sock. I'm excited to knit the second one. Okay, that's it for my sock week socks, but around the same time, and you've seen this one a little bit, I started knitting the sunflower fields, I believe is what it's called, socks. And I think I only had 2 repeats, maybe 3 sunflower rows done when I saw you last. And it's a super cute pattern. This is the same yarn as my weekend shorty sock. So perfect for summer. Great for getting it out of my stash. And I think it's turning out really well. I love the fabric. It's super soft. It's fun to knit on, though it's a lot of color work. So it takes me a lot of time. And I just have to be used to that. I think So I brought this on my trip to Utah with me, and I got down to the heel, and then I started working the heel. And this is my first time doing a German short row heel. And I just didn't have the headspace to try and figure it out. I just wanted to do a heel that I know how to do while I was on vacation. So I started the German short row heel, and I didn't love what was going on. I was kind of confused with how it was written out. So I ripped it back and I did a normal heel, and I finished it, and I started doing the dust. I like combined and started the gusset decreases. But then I was like, wait, you can't do that when you have all over color work, because the gusset would then get in the way of, it would just screw up the color work going on here. So I had to then rip my heel back for a second time and do this German short row heel and figure that out. So I think a lot of my frustration with this pattern, because I was feeling really frustrated and I wanted to put it down and not touch it again for a long time, or just rip it out and just, anyway. But after I got through the heel and started going again, it felt so much better. And it started going quicker again. So I think I really like this pattern. I just was feeling some frustration with it, but it's totally good. All good now. Loving the pattern. I'm excited to finish this one. I might not get to the second sock for a while because, like I said earlier, I have so many things going on as far as yarn and fiber and knitting goes, and I'll get to some of that later on in the episode, but I'm happy with this. I think this yellow and this gray go so good together. I thought it would be fun to finish these socks before. So my grandma, my mom's mom, she really loved sunflowers, and she passed away maybe when I was 12 or 13 in August, and she absolutely loves sunflowers, and August is kind of when the sunflowers start coming out. It's August, September. And so I thought about maybe trying to have these done by the anniversary of her passing away, but there's no way that's gonna happen. I can't finish those on time. So maybe for next year I'll have them. I believe her birthday was in July. I don't remember. That's awful of me. But I love sunflowers now too, just for the memory of her. And I think they're just so fun. Sunflowers just mean a lot to me because of that. So I'm excited to finish these, like I said, and be able to wear them and think of her. Okay, I have another pair of socks that I have casted on, and I absolutely love them. It's my favorite yarn that I dyed the yarn. I know that sounds like big-headed, but I love the color that I got, and I'm so happy about them. And it's this pattern that I've been dying to cast on forever and ever and ever. And the designer had a sale. I think it was her birthday, and so she had a sale or something. So she had a sale, and so I got a couple of her patterns that I absolutely love, and I couldn't help myself, and I cast it on. But sorry, after I wound you up, I'm not gonna share this cast on for another 2 weeks because I don't have much done on it, and I won't get any more work on it in the next 2 weeks as I'm finishing up some test knits and sample knits and stuff like that. So just stay tuned for 2 weeks from now. I know, just egging you on and wanting, I'm just messing with you guys, I guess. And while we're on the sock train, I know that was so many socks, but I have one more. I'm just, I guess, turning into the crazy sock lady. She always knits so many socks. And I usually only have one on the go, but oops. But this one is a test knit. I thought it was cute and fun and a good way to use up some fairly variegated yarn that I have. I guess tonal variegated. It's the same color, but kind of variegated. Anyway, it's a test knit for Kerry Cogan Brown, which is the same designer that designed one of the sock patterns for Sock Week for Nitty Natty. And here it is. I made quite a bit of progress on it because I'm trying to get it done quick so that I have no obligations for when my yarn gets here for the sample that I'm going to knit. But look how fun. It looks tiny because it's just a whole bunch of knits and purls, and so it shrinks in on itself. There's hair everywhere. But it's super stretchy, which is going to be really nice and fun. The sample is knit in a beautiful pink color, and it just looks so good in a solid color, so I was worried that it wasn't going to turn out super well with this variegated yarn. It's in a ball, so it's kind of hard to see what's going on. But I have another pair of socks in this yarn. I dyed this yarn. This was one of my very first yarn dyeing that I've done ever. And so I went to go do one technique with dyeing, but then for some reason did a different technique and the yarn turned out differently than I wanted and much darker. We've learned our lessons. But I think it's still very pretty. I have some stockinette down here so you can see how it knits up when it's just plain. I still think it's really pretty. Very nice brown colors working together. But anyway, I think this design works pretty well with pretty variegated colors. I know that's not crazy variegated yarn. I've seen much more variegated, but I think it looks nice. And it might be tough to see on camera, but you can see that it's kind of spirally. I don't know how else to say it, but which direction is it going? You can kind of see the areas where there's pearls or knits just popping out. It's creating this spiral effect, kind of, sort of, and it's really fun. It's a super easy pattern to memorize. Just as you start knitting it, you kind of take a look at how the stitches are working together and how to read your knit, and then after that you don't need to look at the pattern. If you can visualize how it's working up and paying attention to the pattern at first, then you're good. You can just read your knitting and go from there. But it's really, really fun. I think the contrast tiny bit on the cuff and the contrast heel, and then there's going to be a contrast toe. I posted a picture of this on my stories and I was like, whoa, this makes me want chocolate ice cream. Like, doesn't that make you want chocolate ice cream? The colors of it. I know not everybody loves chocolate ice cream. Some people are like, what? But ever since being pregnant with my daughter, I have absolutely loved chocolate and chocolate ice cream. I've always loved chocolate, but chocolate ice cream is really gone to the top of the list almost. But anyways, I posted on my stories and the designer messaged and said, if you did a pink heel, it could be a Neapolitan ice cream sock. And then I would just rebrand the sock to waffle cone sock. But I don't think I've shared the name actually. It's the Vortex socks. So I guess it could look kind of like a waffle cone. But it's such a fun pattern. At the end, she has a playlist of songs that kind of inspired the design of the sock and the pattern. I need to listen to those because that would be so much fun. But anyway, I'm super excited for these. The test is due at the end of September, I believe. So they're coming, September, what month are we in? End of August. So I think they'll be available the last couple days of August, if not very beginning of September. I can't remember for sure, but very fun pattern. Loving it a lot. Super easy on the go knitting because I don't have to look at a pattern anymore. And because I've knit so many socks, I know how many decreases to do, how many increases, how many decreases for the gusset, and how to do a heel flap. Like, it's just super easy, super mindless knitting, which has been super great for me because, like I said, we're renovating our kitchen and that is taking so much energy and time and brain power. So mindless knitting has been so good for me. So yes, this should be done by the next time I see you because I need to get it off the needles as soon as I can so that I can work on that sample knit. Which sadly I can't show you that sample knit because the colors are secret for now. Anyway, I'll show you once the colors are released. If I still have it, I'll take pictures and stuff. But okay, one more test knit that's on the needles is this Minto cushion by Knitonomy. I think I'm saying that right. So she has a sweater with the same stitch pattern, which is super pretty. I love this stitch pattern so much. And she's making it into a pillow cover or a cushion cover. So this is, which version is it? Is this a 16-inch? I think this is the 16-inch pillow. So I only have like 2 or 3 more repeats of the pattern to do and I'm done. I used the pattern, I think called for 300 grams, but I got so close to being to the halfway mark and I ran out of my first 100-gram skein. If I would have left a little less yarn here at the bottom, she said to leave a certain amount of yarn so you can sew it closed at the end, but I think I left quite a bit too much yarn. If I would have gauged how much yarn to leave here correctly, I think I would have been able to get half of it done in 100 grams. So I think I can squeeze this pillowcase out in just 200 grams, but we will see. 200, slightly more. That's kind of yarn chicken, so that's probably why she said 300, just so you don't run out of yarn while you're working on it. It's a worsted weight pillowcase, but it's worked on 4mm needles, which I believe is US 6. So it's a bit tighter of a knit, of a gauge. I feel like worsted weight is usually not, I feel like DKs are usually 4mm. So it's a little bit tighter, but it's a great fabric. And this is obviously going to stretch out a ton. It's going to go more like that. But I'm super excited to get these on a pillowcase and see what it looks like all finished up. Let's see actually how many, whoa, I think I only have 1.5 repeats to go and I'll be done. So this will be done by the next time I see you in a podcast episode. And yeah, that'll be exciting, and you'll be able to see it on the pillow and all stretched out and stuff like that. The yarn I'm using for this is just undyed yarn that I have in my stash from nomadyarn.com. I love that company. They have such fantastic customer service and such fantastic yarn and yarn choices. They're coming out with more all the time. I think they just spent some time in their mill. I don't know any of these terminologies. Learning about more yarn bases that they might be bringing to their collection pretty soon, and so I'm really excited about that, to hear about more. But yes, this is like popcorn knitting. It is this cable pattern is so easy. You know, we're super tangenty today. I wanted to be super fast through this, but I'm just talking all the random stuff. But it's popcorn knitting, so by that I mean you just want to keep going. You just want to keep going and going because it's so addicting in a way, right? So every other row you're working a cable, and it's so easy to memorize. I'm not going to give away the pattern obviously, but you're just every other row working on a cable, so it's so easy. So some cable patterns I have to keep my eyes glued to the chart so that I don't get too many knit rows in between the cables, because I'm a little lost on how to read my knitting when there's cables involved sometimes. Like I don't know where exactly the cable is, which row it is, before I start counting the rows in between, if that makes sense. So this is great because you don't have to have that problem. I don't look at a chart for this. I did for the first couple rounds, and then it was so easy to memorize. You just go. It's amazing. I love it. So simple, so confusing, not confusing. It's so satisfying, super easy to just pull out and sit. Again, like I was saying, I don't have the headspace for complicated knits right now because of our kitchen, and our kitchen is going to be done fairly soon. The complicated parts are going to be done this week, I think. But so this has been really great for me to just pull out and knit on. So that's been fun. Okay, next we have my Mile shirt jacket. I finished the sleeve this week. Well, got to where I was supposed to get for the cuff this 2 weeks ago, a week ago, something like that. And then I counted how many stitches I had at the bottom of my sleeve, and it was way too many. And it was really disappointing. So it turns out I picked up way too many stitches, well, like 6 too many stitches for the sleeve when I went to do it. Because the number of stitches, so no, there's, you know how patterns work. There's a big long line of numbers for each pattern, for each size, right? But that big long line of numbers for each size was split across 2 rows. Now this might be backwards because I don't know how this mirrors with the camera and everything, so I'm going to do it my way. So on the pattern, I'm reading left to right, left to right, my brain, left to right, and the first like 2 or 3 sizes was here, and then the last few sizes was here. And the skimmer that I am, I just skim through patterns. I know, it's so stupid of me. I picked the number from here. So I'm knitting the small size. So I was supposed to pick up stitches corresponding to the number here, but I didn't see these 3 little numbers over here. So I picked up this many stitches. So I picked up stitches for size like 4, but did the decreases for size 1. So then I ended up with more stitches than even the largest size calls for because the decrease rate is different for each size. But so I ripped out the sleeve. I thought about cutting right above where I have the right amount of pickup stitches, picking up the stitches on the sleeve, grafting it on, and then knitting more down at the end of the sleeve. But again, no brain space. So I put it aside and I cast on something new, and I absolutely love what I'm working on. But again, I'm not going to show it to you. I love the yarn. I love the pattern. I'm so excited to be able to wear it when it gets a little chillier outside. But I'm not going to show it to you. I'll show it to you next time, because it's not going to have any progress on it for next time. Not that you have to always be putting progress on stuff, but just for the sake of time and effort of editing and all the things, I'm just going to wait. So I ripped it back, and then I was going to start again, but then we got busy again. So anyway, so here it is. I think it's about the same. I need to block this out, obviously, and it'll lay flat. But I think it's about the same as you saw last time. So nothing special there, because the sleeve is totally gone. It's probably less progress than you saw from last time, but that's okay. And there probably won't be any work done on this in the next couple weeks. This is so squishy and cozy. I'm excited. And again, I'm always questioning my color. It looks so variegated on camera from here, from my point of view. Maybe it's better for you. But when I see it from a distance, it just looks, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll over dye it when it's done again. This yarn color is such a journey. Anyway, so I'm excited to finish that. It's been such a long project just because it's kind of been background knitting over the summer while I've been working on fingering weight knits, just to have something chunkier to work on to give my hands a break. But I'm excited to just be done with it. Not that it's not enjoyable. I just, after ripping out a whole sleeve to restart because you picked up 6 stitches too many or something like that, just, but that's okay. It'll be done eventually. I have so many knits that I want to knit this fall and this winter, and so I gotta get a move on. But I'm excited. It'll be good. We'll see how it all goes. All right, so my SunSpot tank, I've shown this in past episodes. This is just a tank top that I'm making up as I go. It's a marled tank top with 2 kind of lace weight-ish yarns that I'm just holding together to get a marled tank top. I'm enjoying it, but it's 100% on the back burner right now because I've got so many other things going on that have higher priority, and I'm kind of done with summer knits. I'm just so excited for sweaters. I'm not a cold person. Like, I don't like being cold, so winter and fall are not my favorite, though I don't hate them. I'm not like, ugh, fall. Fall is beautiful, and I love fall, especially here in Ohio, but I'm extra excited for the cold weather this year for sweaters. So I'm so excited. But besides the point, that one's on the back burner. You might not see that till next year. You might see that next episode. Or in 2 episodes. We'll see. I'll see. But for now, I'm kind of stuck on it. I don't know what to do with the neck or the armholes. And until I get that figured out, I don't have any desire to finish the body, because what if I have to rip it all the way out to fix things? So anyway, figuring it out as we go. Okay, so next is I don't know if I showed this last time. I may have started it in the last couple weeks. I don't remember, but I also haven't worked on it in quite a while just because I didn't bring it on our trip to Utah, and then I've kind of forgotten about it. This is also kind of just a knitting in the background if I get bored with what I'm working on, which I have so many things going on. But this is a shawl for my mom. She bought this yarn when she visited me last. We went to the yarn store and she bought it, I think, mostly just so that I would have fun yarn to work with. But it is a shawl for my mom. And I'm not even going to try to say the name of the shawl because it's a big, long word and I just don't want to try that right now. But this is working up beautifully. This yarn is so soft. It's Malabrigo's. It's the worsted weight. I don't remember. The colorway is Aguas, I think. It's beautiful. It's so fun to work with. It's so soft. And I'm enjoying the way the colors work up. It's just beautiful. Here's the skein, the ball. I think it's just gorgeous. So it'd be nice to, my mom is visiting in like a month plus a week from now. It'd be nice to have it done by then, but if not, her birthday's end of October. She knows this is being made for her, so it'd just be fun to be able to give it to her for something and not just be like, here you go. I either way, we will see. She picked out the pattern, she picked out the yarn, so it's not going to be a surprise to her, but like I said, it'd be fun to give it to her for a specific thing. Okay, and in the last week or two-ish, I have gotten some progress on my big blanket that I've only shown in my very first episode because I didn't work on it forever and ever and ever. But I finally was like, okay, this thing has got to get off the needles because I'm counting it as a whip and it just makes me feel even worse casting on more things. It makes me feel like I can't cast on things because I have this as a whip. So I was like, I need to get progress on it. I need to get it off the needles. I just need to be done. So I'm going to commit to 2 rows a day and be done. So I was doing really well with my 2 rows per day as soon as we got back from our trip to Utah. So I got 2 rows a day done for quite a few days. And then I had test knits and kitchen renovations going on, and I just needed comfort knitting, and that is not comfort knitting for me. So I haven't worked on it for the last couple days, but I do have like this much done on it, which is pretty good. Let me go get it really quick because I forgot to grab it. I don't know how practical this is to show because it's pretty massive, but I've gone through a skein, maybe? That's how much yarn a couple rows takes. I don't know if I'm going to show this whole thing. I'll just show the top little part, I guess, because it's all the same. It's not particularly special, but this is the Herringbone Blanket, and I don't have a stitch marker in, but when I bought the yarn for this, there wasn't enough skeins of this white yarn. Wow, see, hair everywhere. Of this white yarn with little gold strand woven into or spun into it. So I had to get a few skeins of just plain white. And so what I'm doing with that is every 3 to 4 to 5 sometimes rows, I'll sneak in 1 row of white. So that's going to leave a lot of end weaving in for me, which I didn't think through that while I was doing this, but it's fine because I now have enough yarn. I don't have to worry about dye lots too bad, and you can't really even tell. Anyway, so I know that the first row that I worked when I got back was a plain white row, so this is it. It's right here. So I guess maybe I overestimated. Maybe that was like a fishing story. I overestimated how much I had done, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm dropping stitches. In the grand scheme of things, I'm happy to have, what is that, 2 inches? 3 inches? Something like that done. I'm happy to have that much done, and I'm excited to get more work on it as time goes on and I have more space to knit. I guess I have one more little teaser, I guess. So I have one more test knit that I'll be starting, but I need to dye the yarn first, and I don't have an oven because our kitchen is being redone. So I'll have my oven back hopefully next week. So I'll get a lot of dyeing done next week. So I'll dye on my yarn for that test knit, and I'm super excited about that test knit. I love the sweater. I just need to dye my yarn, and I think I'm gonna do it like a grayish green color. So I'm super excited about that. I'll put like a little color swatch up on the screen so you can see what color I'm hoping to go for. And yeah, so that will definitely, I'll at least have a swatch. I almost said squatch. I'll have a swatch to show you in 2 weeks. So this test knit, I have 7 or 8 weeks to do it. So, and with my sample knit that I have to get done, that's first priority. And then I'll get onto that test knit as I'm finishing up that sample. So that's exciting. I'll at least have the swatch done, and I'm really excited. I think the green is a gorgeous color, and I'm so excited to work on it. So, okay, we are on to acquisitions. So it's been 4 weeks since our last episode, and a lot has happened since then. So I'll start from the beginning. I was on Instagram, just scrolling through, and Wicked Notions, I don't know my friend over at Wicked Notions' name. We've talked so many times, and she's such a generous, kind soul, but I don't know her name. I need to ask her. I don't think she has it anywhere on her Instagram page, and we just talk. Anyways. So she posted on her stories her sheet, and she was like, hey, I have so much wool that needs to be processed and spun. Does anybody want to do it for me? And anyway, long story short, I was telling her that I'm interested in getting into spinning, but I don't have the money to drop on a spindle. And I saw not a spinning wheel. Like, I don't have a couple $100 to drop on a spinning wheel, but I've seen drop spindles, and they were super interesting to me. I thought it'd be a great way to try out spinning and give it a shot. And I'm just interested. I don't know what to do with spun yarn, hand spun yarn, but I just wanted to try it. And so I messaged her that, and she's like, hey, I have a drop spindle that's just been collecting dust, just sitting around. You can have it. Send me your address. And I was like, wait, what? No, like, that's so nice of you. So I sent her my address. I offered to pay for shipping. She was just so nice and just sent it. She also sent, here, let me. So here's the drop spindle. It's super, super nice. And you can get these for decently cheap if you want to try it out yourself as well. And she was so kind, and also included some fiber from her sheep named Freya when she was a baby, I think, when she was an ewe. Is that, I don't know these things, guys, but I've spun this up. This is my very first spin. It's super, super inconsistent, but it's fun. I started doing it and I was like, whoa, guys, that's yarn on my spindle. Like, I'm making yarn. It was so fun and so satisfying. And then she also sent along a whole bunch of this. I think this is just 100% wool. She used to, I don't know if she still does, gets a monthly fiber in the mail. And so this was just some leftovers that she had. And I've been spinning that up. And then this one she thinks is wool and silk. And this one's so soft and so beautiful. So that was extremely kind of her to pass along things that she wasn't using. So that's your reminder for all of you guys. If you have yarn sitting around, and I know Nitty Natty's been doing this a lot lately too, yarn that's just sitting around that she's not going to touch. And my friend at Wicked Notions had fiber and a spindle sitting around that she's not going to touch. Pass it along to somebody else who's going to love it and enjoy it and give it the love that it needs, I guess. And just help others get to enjoy their hobbies and try new things. There's no reason for these to be sitting around. So if you have stuff that you have sitting around, feel free to share the love and share the goodness for those who don't have much of a budget to try new things. So that was very nice of her. And I have a spin going on right now. This spin is with this yarn right here. And, oh, I have this ball right here as well that I've spun from that same fiber. And I have more in the closet. I forgot to grab it. There's so many things I grabbed and brought into the sunroom today to show you all, but there's so many things, and so I forgot some things. But I have I'm gonna have all these terms wrong. So a single ply of this stuff, and a single ply of her sheep, and I plied them together. So I have that, and I have a single ply of this stuff that was super wonky and inconsistent because it was like my second spin. And so I have little balls of those, and my plan to do with my hand spun yarn for now, at least until I get more consistent, is to knit it up into, I think, the Northeasterly blanket. I think by Skeananigans. I think that's such a fun name, Skeananigans. I think that's right. Because that blanket is seam as you go, and it doesn't have any required amount of yarn. Like, you don't need 5 grams for each block or whatever. It's knit until you're done. It's kind of like the jelly roll, or what's another? I think those are like the two, where you start the row and you knit until you're out of yarn, and then you grab the next yarn and you go. So that'll allow me to use up all my hand spun yarn, and it's okay if it's inconsistent and wonky, and it's going to be colorful and it's scrappy and fun. But someday I'll be able to look back at each little arrow. It's not really a square or a shape. It's kind of like an arrow. So I'll be able to look back at all the arrows and be like, oh, this fiber here is from a little sheep named Freya. Oh, this fiber here came from Utah. Oh, this one here came, and I'll be able to look back at that someday. Oh, this one's from my very first spin ever. And I think that'll just be so fun. It's going to be a lifelong project. Just little sample spins, because I know all sorts of fibers spin up differently. And so if I get more into spinning, it'll be good to just do little sample spins of the different fibers before I do big long spinning projects. And then my little sample spins can go in my blanket. So I have a tiny little piece of hand spun yarn from every single project, hand spinning project in that blanket. So it's just a fun little memory project that I can cozy up under with my kids in the future and be like, oh, this, you know, like just look at each little section of it and have a fun little memory associated with that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm getting a lot better at keeping it consistent. So it's so satisfying. You just whoop and you go. I'm still, if any of you know anything about drop spindles, I'm still doing the park and draft method. I don't stop and just, I can't draft and spin at the same time. That's scary. Well, I've done it a few times. It's scary though. But anyway, for those of you who are spinners, that's kind of fun. And those of you who are not spinners but are interested in the world of spinning, we might throw that in the podcast every now and then, just a little bit. But it's really fun. It's interesting to watch something like this, where it's very clearly a rainbow, spin up into, depending on where you draft the yarn, how you pull the fiber out, it turns up very differently. So like here, it almost looks plied because, again, I've said this before, don't make fun of my fingernails because I don't care, and so I don't do anything with them. But this looks plied because I have orange and blue in there. Whereas some of these, the green and the blue mix together and make a totally different color that just looks heathered almost. And it's just really cool to watch things spin up. So I'm excited to get into maybe dyeing fiber and just see how it spins up. And so that'll be a lot of fun. Speaking of dyeing fiber and watching how it spins up, my next acquisition, I believe, the next one. Yes, so the next acquisition is I ordered just some bare, I don't know whether I call it wool or roving or top. Somebody help me. But I just got some, and I think it needs to be cleaned some more. And I don't even know if this is good for spinning. I think this is technically for felting, but we'll see. I'm so new to all of this. There's so much to learn. But I want to ice dye this because I don't have a stove. So I want to ice dye it and just throw some ice over the top, spread it out, throw some ice over the top, throw some powder dye over the top, and let the sun do its work and see what happens. I think that's going to be next week's video. And then I'll spin it up and see what it looks like. I think it's going to be just a heathered looking, I don't know. It'll be fun, I think. So we'll see. It's not the softest in the world. I think it's just for felting projects, but I'm so ignorant on this. But we'll see. I'm excited anyway. You start small, right? You start small. You can't do it. You can't start out anything perfect. Otherwise, you're never going to start. Or you're going to drop thousands of dollars to start any hobby. So start hobbies small and you're good. That's my motto there. Start before you're ready so you can just have fun. Don't wait till you have the money. Don't wait till you have all the perfect know-how and skill. Just do it. Anyway. I think that's all the fiber, well, unspun fiber goodness. Well, I'll show you a little bit more later. So, I've talked sock sets in the past. In the past, I've considered doing, and I am now actually doing a monthly sock set subscription. And so I posted it on Etsy. It's a very discounted price for the first handful of people who signed up to say thank you for supporting me and trusting me to send you beautiful sock sets every month. So I had a listing on Etsy. It's now full, so I'm sorry if you missed it. But I'll open it up in the future at regular price. I could only offer the lower price for a limited time and limited people, but I'm super excited. I was honestly like, oh, nobody's gonna want it, but it sold pretty well. And so I'm super excited to be able to be creative. So I'm going to be dyeing up sock sets every month for the next 6 months, for sure. I'll probably open up more spots for regular members as well as time goes on. But for right now, we're 100% set to go for the next 6 months. So as soon as I get my oven in, I have the first colorway planned, and I'm going to dye up a sock set and send it out to my people. And we'll do that for the next several months. Because of that, and because of those sales, I used all the extra money from the sale to buy more undyed yarn to dye up, and I'll show the bare yarn. I'm not going to share my plans yet. If you follow my stories, you might already know my plans for some of this yarn. But if not, you'll just get to see the bases. So I've ordered a bunch of yarn. I'm going to dye them up and then post them kind of like a pre-order kind of deal. So you'll be able to order them if you want. So you'll have to wait to see the colors that these are going to be. But for now, I'll just share the yarn. Okay, so this is my base for the sock set. So this is the same yarn that I use for the hand-dyed socks that I do for myself. So like this mini skein that I've dyed for myself. It's the same base, but it's a nicer wool. I don't know what that means. But it's so much softer. Like this is so soft compared to this. It's the same base. It's 25% nylon, 75% wool, and it's the same company. I don't know quite how to say it. It's like 21.1% MIC or something like that. And it's super soft. I really, really like it. And so I'm really excited to be knitting this up. So I have a whole bunch of these and a whole bunch of minis. These are what the sock set people will be receiving. So I'm excited about that. Another base that we have is, this one is a 100% fine superwash merino wool. It's a fingering weight 4-ply, but there's no nylon, so it's not a sock base. This is just fingering. And this one is super soft as well. This one also has that nicer wool, so it's very soft, I believe. I don't remember, and it doesn't say, but it's very soft. I'm very excited to dye this up in the colors that I have in mind and just see what happens and knit with it. I'm so excited. Next we have this DK weight yarn. This one's also 100 grams. It is also just 100% fine superwash merino wool. I have this same base, relatively speaking. So I have the same base in a worsted weight yarn. That's what my Miles shirt jacket is being knit up with. But this one, again, is the nicer wool. So this one's the DK version, but also the nicer wool, so it's even softer. And it's so plump and just like, that yarn just looks so plump and fluffy to me. I'm so excited to work with this and see what happens. Anyways. Okay, this one I'm most excited about. It's not technically tweed, but there's little bits of black and like beige spun into the yarn. Even right here you can see really what's going on. That's super fun, right? This is fingering weight yarn. It is 52% mulberry silk, 24% super kid mohair, 20% fine merino wool, and 4% viscose. It's 2-ply. It seems kind of thin compared to other fingering weight, but oh my goodness, it is so soft and like super drapey. Like, this is fingering weight, and this is fingering weight, and this one just flaps all the way down. And this one has a little bit more structure to it. Maybe they're the same. I don't know. But, oh my goodness. And this one has a little bit of a shine to it. I love it. So, it's funny because I can't resist just kissing my little daughter's cheeks because they're so soft and squishy and I love her to death. And when I got this in the mail and pulled it out and looked at it and walked around the house with it up to my face and showed it to my husband and just jumped around just so excited, I also couldn't resist I just habitually just gave it a kiss because apparently that's what I do as a mom now. I just kiss super soft, irresistible, sweet things. Just like my daughter is. So I guess this is just as good as my daughter. Just kidding. My daughter is better than any yarn. But I'm so excited. I've been dying to try this base out, and I'm so excited. So I know for sure what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to knit a sample up with this. So I'm going to dye this up, post it for pre-order and all the things, but I'm also going to knit a sample up with it. So you can all see what it looks when it's knit up, because it is interesting to have little bits of this and little bits of that and little bits of that, right? So it's like, what does it look like when it's all dyed up or knit up? So I'm going to knit some, or I'm going to dye some up. I might only offer this in 2 colors, and it's going to be different colors than the rest of these. But I think I'm going to knit the Cozy Classic Light by Jessie Made Designs because it only takes like 2 skeins of 100 grams, I believe, for the full length, full sleeve sweater. It's a very loose fingering weight gauge sweater. It's a very classic look. So I'm gonna dye this up in a tonal color. So it's all just gonna be the same color. I'm gonna knit it up, and I think it's gonna be perfect for fall, because fall here doesn't get freezing cold, but it gets cold, right? So I think having a wool, silk, and mohair blend yarn in a looser gauge is just gonna be amazing for the fall. And I have the perfect fall colors in mind for the 2 colors that I want to dye for these. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So I'm probably going to have a swatch of this knit up at the very least for you all next time I see you on a podcast episode in 2 weeks, because I just can't resist. But yes, so be excited for that, I guess. And you'll probably be able to see all these things on my stories as well over the next 2 weeks. So follow me over on Instagram if you want to, at goldenhour.knitwear, if you want to get a sneak peek a little earlier than everybody else. And then Nomad is so nice. So I've put 2 orders in with them. My first order and this order, both times, they've sent me this fingering weight, sorry for the crinkles. There's no helping it. They sent me this 1-ply fingering weight skein of yarn. So I now have 2 of these, and it's so soft. Ugh, I need to get a whole pack of this. I'm already planning what I want to get myself for Christmas. And it includes this. I just can't imagine how amazing a cardigan or a sweater with this paired with a mohair would feel. It'd feel so good. So good. It's just 100% fine organic merino wool, and it's a 1-ply. It's so, so good. I'm excited. I have so many sweaters that I want to knit with this, paired with mohair. I'm excited. I need more of these first, but that's for Christmas. I'll wait till Christmas. Anyway, that's all of my yarn acquisitions. I have 3 more acquisitions to show because of the Great Lake, no, not the Great Lakes Fiber Show. That was in like months ago. The Heartland Yarn Adventure. Okay, so in Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, and Indiana, a lot of the stores in the center, like where they all meet up, I guess, a lot of the 68 yarn stores, I'm pretty sure is the number, work together for a massive yarn crawl. And it's a 10-day yarn crawl. I would love to road trip it one day. That's the intended thing. If you want to go all out, is to road trip to all of 68 stores. And so that would be so fun to do one day. But with everything going on in life right now, I only have time for the ones closest to me. And my goodness, I'm so glad I went. I almost didn't go, but then, was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday I had to go down to Cincinnati to drop off a tool to get fixed at a shop. And so I was like, I'm in Cincinnati. My daughter is at her grandma's house. I'm going to go to yarn stores. So while my husband finishes up work, and I'm just going to enjoy myself at yarn stores for the yarn crawl and just go see all these yarn stores that I haven't been to. And holy moly, I'm so glad I did, because I have amazing yarn stores by me. So there's Woolly Bully, which is like 30 minutes from my house, and that's the place I go to most of the time, just when I'm getting yarn. And they have a lot of great selections. They carry Noro all the time. They've got Malbrigos. They've got a lot of popular hand-dyed yarn. They've just got so much there, and I love Woolly Bully. You can't go wrong with Woolly Bully. And then I went to Fiber Optics yarn. What is it? Yeah, just Fiber Optics yarn. And I walked in and was like, whoa. It's just a hand-dyed yarn studio. So they dye all of their yarn. All of their yarn is gorgeous. And they also have just a bunch of fiber that you can buy by the ounce. And I wasn't going to purchase anything because I was saving my small little hobby fund to buy a cone of yarn from a different yarn store by me. But I couldn't resist. I saw all of their different fibers, and then I saw this one, and I was like, whoa, I gotta have that. And it's by the ounce, so I can get like 3 ounces and only spend a couple bucks. And then I can spend a couple bucks at the other yarn store that I go to. So I got this. It is a merino and nylon blend of fiber. I don't know how much of each, but oh my goodness, look at all these colors. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I am so excited to spin this up. So when I decided, yes, I'm going to get some fiber, I wanted to come up with a project because right now I'm just spinning to practice spinning, and then I'm knitting it up into my northeasterly blanket, which I have not started the blanket yet. But I wanted an actual project. And so I was looking at some of the fiber, and I was thinking about doing a hat, like a beanie. And I wear beanies, but I'm not like a beanie person. And so I thought about doing a beanie, but then I saw this, and it's in merino nylon blend, and I was like, whoa, I just have to. And it's nylon, so I felt like I gotta do socks. So I'm gonna knit myself some, I'm gonna spin this up as thin as I possibly can on my little drop spindle without it breaking. It's gonna be a huge labor of love. It's gonna take me so long to get a sock quantity, and then I'm gonna apply it so that it's stronger. And they might be the ugliest pair of socks with the coolest colors because it's beautiful, beautiful fiber, but I'm not gonna do an amazing job spinning it. I already know it's gonna be inconsistent and not perfect, but then I'll figure out what my thickness of yarn is, like the yarn weight. I'll figure out what weight of yarn it is. I'm hoping for a fingering or a sport, but we'll see. And then I'll knit up a pair of socks, and they might not last me forever because it's hand spun. The lady at the store was saying to make it stronger or at least more comfortable to wear hand spun, hand knitted socks, is to let it felt together after you've knitted it. So I might do that. I know, we'll just see how it goes. I'm excited for this. This is going to be a little treat for myself, maybe to do later this winter. It's definitely not going to be happening right now, especially because I've already got a spin on the go on my spindle that I want to finish first, but I'm excited. I'm very excited. Those colors, oh, so gorgeous. I'm so excited for this one. And I'm excited to go back to Fiber Optics and just get wool by the ounce every now and then just to try out new things, because they have silk blends, they have linen blends, they've got all sorts of different breeds of sheep and llamas and alpacas. I mean, there's no animals there, but all of the fibers are all sorts of different blends and fibers. I'm just so excited to try it all out. I live in such an amazing place. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. So I grew up in a small town in Utah, and while I was there in Utah, I was trying to look up yarn stores by me that I could go visit because I didn't knit while I lived in Utah. So I have no idea what there is. And I know there's yarn stores up north in Salt Lake, but there's none that I could find in southern Utah, which is where I'm from. And so I didn't get to go to any yarn stores. I found some locally grown and processed and spun yarn at the little hotel that we were staying at, and I almost got it, but it was like $50 a skein. So I was like, sorry Tamara, you can't have that right now. But that's all I found in Utah. And so being able to live in Ohio, in the Midwest, where so I don't feel like I live in a huge city, but everything out in the Midwest, there's just towns everywhere and so spread out, but close. Like there's cities everywhere you drive, it feels like. Whereas in Utah, it's like little town, 45 minutes north, little town, 45 minutes north, little town. Like that's just how Utah is built. Whereas out here, there's cities everywhere that are all running into each other all over the place. And there's fibery goodness everywhere. There's yarn stores 20 minutes apart from each other all over the place here. And that makes me so happy. And there's so many farms here too. So there's lots and lots of opportunity for me to get fiber here just from where I live. And I love that. It's so fun. Along those lines though, I remembered I was talking to my mom. This is a little off tangent, but I was talking to my mom. She knows that I just started spinning. And we went on a little side-by-side ride in our neighborhood because my daughter loved the side-by-side and she called it the beep beep. I want to ride the beep beep. But so we were going on a little ride in the side-by-side and we went up to a good family friend's house and saw their horses and everything just from the road. And my mom was like, oh, look, there's sheep back there. And I was like, wait, that's right. We have so many friends with sheep and alpaca. I should get their fiber if it's good fiber and spin it up so that I can make my own Utah yarn because I want to have yarn from each state that I live in. So I have a lot of Ohio yarn, but I need Utah yarn and California yarn. So she was texting people back and forth and asking them about their fiber for me. And a couple of people were like, no, we just have meat sheep, so not fiber sheep, so their fiber is not good for spinning. Which obviously some people have different feelings about that. I've learned through some research. But one family friend that we've almost always lived by, because we lived by them in one neighborhood, they moved to a different neighborhood, and then we happened to move into their same neighborhood when we moved partway while I was in high school or middle school or something. Anyway, so we've always lived by them, and they have 3 Surrey alpaca. And she has a ton of fiber from those alpaca just sitting around. She was going to learn how to do something with it once upon a time, but then she got in an accident or something and hurt her back. I don't know the story. I don't know her as well as my mom does, especially since I moved away. But, which is unfortunate that she hurt her back and can no longer use it. But she's like, you can have it. It's dirty and needs to be processed and cleaned and carded and batted and everything, but it's yours. So I'm so excited to get that. I don't know how it's going to get to me. I don't know how much there is. I don't know what color it is. I don't know what it looks like. But I'm excited because maybe someday I'll spin it up. Maybe someday I'll have a spinning wheel and I'll be able to spin it up into beautiful yarn and then knit it into a garment or something. And then I'll have my Utah sweater. That's my goal, to have a sweater from where I've lived. So I've got my Ohio, I need Utah, and I need California. But Utah's well on its way. But that's going to take a lot more work than just owning the yarn because it's got to be processed and cleaned and spun and then knitted. But we'll see. It'll be fun. It'll be good. All right, 2 more tiny little things to show. I also went to Main Street Yarns is it in Mason, Ohio? Like I said, there's so many little towns just smashed up against each other in Ohio. I don't know where I am half the time. It took me a while to figure out what city I even lived in. But when we first moved here. But what I got, I mean, it's not anything super fancy. I just got more little light bulb stitch markers, which was good to have. I mean, you can never have too many of those. And then I also got this little color work ring thing. So you just stick the yarns in there, and then you can, because I knit continentally and I hate knitting English style, and so now I can knit color work continentally all the time instead of having one strand in one hand and one strand in the other hand, and like I hate that. And so I'm excited to be able to use that. I tested it out a tiny bit earlier today or last night, and it went pretty well, so I'm excited to try that out some more. But Main Street Yarns was really fun too. There was some kind of knit group thing going on because there's a whole bunch of ladies there talking and knitting together, which was fun. But they have tons of yarn as well. They have a lot of options, and it seems like they have more, how do I want to say this? So when I go to Woolly Bully, the yarn store closest to me, they have a lot of options, which is great. But because of that, it feels like they only have 3 or 4 skeins in each option, which is not enough for everybody to make a sweater out of one color. They have to do stripes or color work or something, or see if they have more in the back. I don't know if they have more in the back, or you have to wait until they get more in. Whereas at Main Street Yarns, it felt like they had more of each color and more of each blend and brand and everything. So that's really nice. I will obviously go to Woolly Bully first in the future because it's closest to me and I love them and I have like the reward system set up with them and everything. But if they don't have the right amount of what I need, then I can go to Main Street Yarns and get more, or whatever. Support both, right? So that's great. It's good to know that I have options, and it's good to know what yarn stores I have around me. So I definitely recommend, if you have a bunch of yarn stores around you, but you've only been to 1 or 2, go on a little road trip, take yourself on a little self-date, and go to all of them. Leave your wallet at home. Just bring your driver's license and you'll be good. Or you can just give yourself a little $5 budget at each and just get little stitch markers or just little somethings here and there. So that was a lot of fun for me to go to a whole bunch of, I mean, I only went to 2 plus the one I usually go to. But it was good to just see what is around me because I now have other places to go get the goods. Like fiber to purchase by the ounce. Just so many options. I'm so happy with where I live. I now don't want to leave even more. Before this week, I didn't want to ever leave Ohio, but now, like, you're gonna have to drag me out of this state if I ever have to move. You're gonna have to drag me, and I'll just be, you know, screeching, grabbing onto the land and not letting you take me away. But anyway, I think that's it for today. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening to all the tangents, all the goodness, all of the new projects and none of the finished projects. And thank you for being patient and waiting for the cast-ons that I'm not going to show you. Sorry about that. And I'm excited to show you what I'm working on in 2 weeks from now. Even if it's not a lot, I'll show you those 2 cast-ons. I might have a little bit of spinning going on. I'll have some swatches. I'll have hand-dyed yarn to show you. Some of my hand-dyed yarn to show you. I'll have maybe some more acquisitions because I'm waiting for some stuff in the mail. But we'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited to get a lot of knitting done. And I'll have those test knits done too. Anyway, thanks for being here. Feel free to give the video a like, maybe subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything in the future. And check me out on Instagram because I update that more frequently than I do YouTube. Yeah, I think that's all for today. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you probably next week, but I'm not making any promises because life is hectic right now. But definitely in 2 weeks from now. So thanks again. Bye.